Fantasy Football Podcast. Another great episode for you today on a Friday morning. I'm your host, Jim Neander. Thanks for joining us. So, let's see what we got going on today, folks. We're going to be previewing Week 4 in the NFL. Of course, our first kind of chaotic week here. We've got, some COVID issues, and we have a game postponement, and people are freaking out. Fantasy owners and commissioners are freaking out everywhere and trying to figure out what to do. So, here's the deal. Here, right now, let's not make any more out of it than it is. It's the first bye week of the NFL season. Got moved up by 1 week. The NFL is full of smart people. They'll figure out the rest of the schedule and how to make it happen. And hopefully this game happens within the fantasy football window. So the owners of Pittsburgh Steelers and Tennessee Titans don't lose a possible game from some of their stars. But hey, it is what it is, man. Suck it up. No reason to cry about it. Life goes on, man. It's fantasy football. It's not the worst thing. As intensely as I am into fantasy football, I've got a bunch of teams. I do, a podcast. I research it all day. It's still just fantasy football. So don't get too bent out of shape about it. I think it's going to be okay. You got the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers on a bye week this week. So just treat it like a bye week. Make sure you've got some players ready to roll. And, frankly, it works both ways, right? If you're an A.J. Brown owner or a Deontay Johnson owner, you're probably happy to have the extra week off because those guys have been injured, haven't been able to go on the field this week. So maybe you get those guys back for an extra game that they weren't going to have if they are indeed able to reschedule this, within the fantasy window. So, hey, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's a bye week. These two teams are on a bye for now. That's all it is. And when it's something else, we'll make it something else, right? But that's all we got. So let's jump into Week 4 action. Let's go ahead and just review last night's game quickly, the Broncos and the Jets Thursday night game. And listen, just like every fantasy football game, just like every NFL game, right? There's going to be fantasy points scored, just like there were in this game. Unfortunately, if you're like me and you played a couple of teams with Melvin Gordon, you weren't happy that the Jets just stopped playing defense and gave up on that last long touchdown run. That's absurd. I'm in a big hole now heading into Sunday in a couple of leagues because they just didn't want to play defense. I mean, Melvin Gordon had 60 yards and a touchdown before that, and that's totally fine. That's, around what I expected him to have. And boom, now he has a big game because a very easy play, broken play. Just runs up the middle. There's tons of guys there standing around, scratching their ass, doing nothing. And he just bounces out and takes it to the house. So what are you going to do? Hey, for that matter, not anybody started Sam Darnold really, but he did have one of those plays as well. He had that early 46-yard run that nobody seemed to want to play defense. I feel like I could have caught up to him and tackled him. But again, nobody wanted to play defense. It was a pretty embarrassing game, honestly. We knew it was going to be pretty bad. I mean, Brett Rippon, threw for 242 and 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, though. Unfortunately, take away one of those touchdowns and hey, he was able to beat the Jets. I mean, the Broncos won 37-28. Jets are 0-4. Already come out and said they don't plan on firing Adam Gase. I still don't know what the deal is with that, but, that's their prerogative, and, sucks for Jets fans and Jets players. As I mentioned, Melvin Gordon, big game, 23 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game last night. Also caught a couple of balls for 11 yards on 3 targets. So really nice game out of Melvin Gordon. Got that last touchdown for that smash play for you. If you played him, you're very happy about that. Let's look to the outside here. Tim Patrick was the man of the day. 7 targets, caught 6 of them, 113 yards and a touchdown. So big game for Tim Patrick. The rookie Judy caught a nice touchdown pass. I mean, again, it was a horrific defense. I mean, that dude got picked on all day long. And Pierre Desir, I mean, bro. I mean, again, I get it. You're a professional football player. I'm not going to be that guy. But, come on, man. You had the ball. It, hit you in the face. And then you let Judy jump over your back and just grab the ball and walk in, taunting you for a touchdown. Bro, ugly. But Jerry Judy, only had 4 targets, caught 2 of them, 61 and a touchdown. If you played him, you got what you needed because you got the touchdown, but wasn't a good day for him. And then KJ Hamler, who I really thought was going to be the guy to step up as the number 2, hasn't done that. He left the game with a hamstring injury. So right now, it's between Judy and Patrick on who you could play. I'm not willing to take that bet right now, though. I'm still not going to play a wide receiver for the Broncos for the time being. That's just how I'm looking at it. And then Noah Fant, tight end, caught 5 of his 6 targets for 35 yards. Left late in the game, was carted off with an ankle injury, but doesn't seem too serious. And with the extra time before next week, I think he definitely might be back in the lineup for next week's game. So, yeah, but he didn't have a big game. He didn't kill you, but you're hoping for a little bigger game out of Fant if you started him for sure. Sam Darnold threw for 230, no passing touchdowns. He did have that one long rushing touchdown. Also had 84 84 rushing yards on 6 rushes, including that long touchdown run. So, if for some reason you played Sam Darnold, that long touchdown run made your day okay. It was fine. And then Jamison Crowder, hey, welcome back to the team. The question was, how fast will he be integrated? Will he kill the value of a Braxton Berrios, something like that? And he absolutely did, but there were other receivers that showed up here. So, start with Crowder, 10 targets, caught 7 for 104. Really nice game for Jamison Crowder, and he will absolutely be the number 1 option in this offense going forward. Jeff Smith, I never heard of him. Maybe I heard of him because his name is Jeff Smith. I just didn't remember, right? Got that like every guy name. But caught 7 of his 9 targets for 81 yards and looked really fast out there on the field. And then Chris Hogan had 8 targets, but only caught 4 for 23. So he's on the back burner. Chris Herndon, 1 of 3 targets, 11 yards. Terrible performance. He's one of the biggest disappointments for the tight ends this year so far. As I mentioned, Braxton Berrios, who had a couple of nice weeks in a row, caught 0 passes and was targeted 3 times. So if you swung on Braxton Berrios, you whiffed big time, unfortunately. But, it happens. It is what it is. So that was our Thursday night game. Wasn't a great game. But you got some points. You got to watch a little bit of sloppy football and, a little bit of appetizer for Sunday. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Let's get into our rest of our games for Sunday here. And we got the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Now, interesting game here for your fantasy, people, right? Who you're going to play, who you're not going to play, etc. So, for the Colts here, I don't think with all of the injuries for the wide receivers with the Colts right now, that I really want to be targeting Phillip Rivers. This is not a great matchup, so I'm leaving him off of my streamers to target. Jonathan Taylor, even though it's not a great matchup, absolutely playing Taylor. He should have the work and the volume to be an RB2 at least, and possibly have that RB1 upside if they can get the ball moving a little bit. But I think he's a safe mid-tier to low-tier RB2. And no, I don't want to start Nyheim Hines or Jordan Wilkins this week. Leave them both on your bench. Hines could, have a game similar to last week, but if he doesn't get the touchdown, didn't really do anything for you. So I'm not going to bet on that this week. Now, on the outside here, so we know, Paris Campbell's already gone. Michael Pittman is now going to be gone for a short amount of time. We don't know how long. Does that increase, T.Y. Hilton's value? Does that increase Zach Pascal's value or any of the other guys? I don't know necessarily. I understand how, you can play T.Y. Hilton for sure. I guess it's just the expectation. I wouldn't be looking at anything more than a wide receiver 3 in all reality. And he could have a better week. He could be spammed with targets. It could happen. He could have a 15-target week. It's within the realm of possibilities, for him this week. But, again, it's just not something I'm willing to gamble that it's going to happen for sure. So I'm not going to play T.Y. Hilton with high expectations. But you can absolutely flex him and hope for the upside there. And, on the outside here, Mo Alley Cox has had a couple big games at the tight end position with Jack Doyle being injured. And it looks like Jack Doyle is going to be back. And if that's the case, if Doyle is back, I'm not going to start either one of them. I like how Mo Alley Cox looked in Doyle's absence. So I'd love to see him maybe get a little bit more work. But at this time, I'm sure they're going to share, they're going to share snaps and they're going to share opportunities. And I just think that, detracts from either of their value. And that, seems obvious to me. So kind of a game I'm not playing a lot of people in. It's a low over-under, 43 points. I expect it to be a tight game, kind of a nail biter, going to the nail down to the end. And just not expecting big fantasy performances here. So, I'm going to stay away from a lot of the options there. Foles, probably going to stay away from him. Montgomery, yeah, of course you play David Montgomery. Without Tariq Cohen, unfortunately, Cohen's gone for the year. Montgomery will absolutely have, a big enough workload that he should compile enough, points to be worth the start. And then, of course, has upside with that kind of volume. And I'm going to play Allen Robinson here. Probably the only, pass catching option I'm going to play for the Bears. Anthony Miller looked better last week, but I still want to see him do it a couple more times, especially with Nick Foles. And I'm going to hold off, on the rookie Darnell Mooney. He's just a little flash we haven't seen enough of yet. And Jimmy Graham, I know he's had a couple of very good games, but I just don't have the, the huevos to start Jimmy Graham right now. If you want to play the who would you start Jimmy Graham over game, and to make it like really interesting, I guess someone would be like Rob Gronkowski is probably the one I'd compare him to. And I don't know who I'd play. I guess I'd play Jimmy Graham. He's shown the touchdown upside so far this year, so I would play Jimmy Graham, but I don't want to. It's ugly. All right. Moving along to some higher scoring games here. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals. I get it. Never sounds good, right? And it's not really good, right? I mean, these aren't two very good teams. But this game will certainly have a decent amount of fantasy points being scored in it. So, Gardner Minshew, the question is, do you trust the comeback from last week's, letdown? I think he'll have a better week. It's going to be hard not to. Sorry, I'm dying over here. I don't know what's in my eye. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see me probably for the next few minutes, like, freaking out with my eye, but I'll do my best not to let it affect the audio portion of the podcast. So, I don't know that I'm going to be ready to trust Gardner Minshew, right? We're talking about streaming quarterbacks, so it's not only do you trust Gardner Minshew, it's, are there other options out there for those streaming quarterbacks that you feel good about this week? Like, I know it's ugly, but Baker Mayfield is going to be a decent streaming quarterback because they're playing the Cowboys, and I think they're going to be playing from behind and have to score some points. So, that's a guy, Fitzpatrick, same exact thing, playing the Seahawks, going to probably be playing from behind, and I like the opportunity to put up points. So that's the only reason why, Minshew's probably a little lower down for me this week. James Robinson, get him in your lineup. Enjoy the free points that you're getting right now, and, let's hope this kid, just keeps doing it. I've got some shares of James Robinson. I helped another owner out, one of my first trades in a long time. And I needed a quarterback in a Wentz league. And, so James Robinson looks great. Get him in your lineup. Now, DJ Chark, still very worrisome. He is still limited and questionable, and I don't know that he's going to play. And if he plays, I don't think I would have him in my lineup because this injury, whatever it is just worrying me. That he's having so much trouble getting back on the field, and that it could be the kind of thing where he gets hit once and he's back out. And that definitely stresses me out. So don't know that I'm playing him. Now the question is, if DJ Chark is absolutely out, they rule him inactive, then who, if anybody, am I willing to play on the Jaguars? And I don't know. I know it's Laviska Shenault, it's Chris Conley. You've got guys out there, but last week it didn't work out for you. He struggled mightily, and I just don't know who I'm willing to play. Don't know who I'm willing to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars if DJ Chark is out. So if I was forced to play someone, it would be Chris Conley, because you saw the high value targets that went Conley's way, and yeah, he choked on them, bad, really bad. But he got the good targets. So that's who I would play. I don't want to deal with, that's who I would play. On the other side here, Joe Burrow is a little higher on the streaming hierarchy for me than Gardner Minshew. He's a little bit outside my top 12, so he's not a QB1 for me. And if you have another quarterback, you might very well sit Joe Burrow. But I think it's going to be a good week for him. He's using a lot of his weapons out there, and it's a good matchup. So I think you might want to get Burrow in there this week with good upside for touchdowns for sure. Joe Mixon, I know Joe Mixon owners are freaking out But if you can't play Joe Mixon this week, when can you play him? Get him in there. Hope it turns around. I'm not going to tell you to sit him this week. Just can't do it. And then on the outside, that's tough. So I know T. Higgins had the big week, and T. Higgins needs to be rostered. And A.J. Green needs to be continued to be rostered. But neither one should be started this week, in my opinion. I think the only person you're playing is Tyler Boyd. He will have the almost guaranteed targets and higher target share than anyone else. And for me, that's the only safety I'm willing to go with, quite frankly. I'm just not willing to take the chance on some other people on that team. Would it be A.J. Green or T. Higgins if I had to? Because I'm in a tough spot. Maybe you have Juju Smith-Schuster and A.J. Brown, and you don't want to drop anybody. You're struggling for wide receivers. I mean, I'd play A.J. Green just because of the target share in the first 2 weeks. That's what I'd be looking at. If you made me, if you twisted my arm, that's where I'd be going. But hopefully I don't have to do that, because that's a bummer. All right, let's keep her rolling here. The Cleveland Browns go to Dallas. I just mentioned them going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. And, I like this game for fantasy. Cleveland, I think, has an opportunity. It's unfortunate here that we see Odell Beckham Jr. pop up on the injury report. They're saying it's a back injury and that he's questionable. We also have Kareem Hunt with a groin injury that's questionable. So they are going to be without a couple of their, possibly without a couple of their big weapons and a couple of the guys that can help them stay in a shootout, which is what they're going to most likely find themselves in. So, as I just mentioned, Baker Mayfield as a streaming possibility. If these guys are playing, I definitely still stand by that. If Beckham's fine, and Kareem Hunt is playing, if they're both good, then I stand by the fact that I think that, Baker Mayfield is very, very playable as a streamer this week. If either combination or especially OBJ is out, then I have to go off it. I just have to. It's not the only thing that stops, or makes or breaks Mayfield's success, but it's hard to imagine having a big game, without OBJ in there. So, you're playing Nick Chubb with or without Kareem Hunt, no doubt. Now, I would not be playing Kareem Hunt even if they say he's going to give it a go this week. The reason is because you have Nick Chubb. And if you're Cleveland, what is the point of endangering, Kareem Hunt when you have Nick Chubb? Give Chubb the ball a few more times. I'm sure they probably called up somebody from the practice squad. I don't know who they have, like Ronnie Hilliard or somebody like that. I can't remember. But, this guy will get 6-8 carries when Chubb needs to come off the field. No problem. Why risk it? And then on the outside here, I'm going to start both wide receivers, OBJ, if he's healthy, and Jarvis Landry. I think there's going to be a need for enough passing attempts that they'll both be viable. Over under 56 in this game, so I like both those guys. And Austin Hooper, you're still staying away from. Extremely disappointing, especially for the amount of money that he got. Not that we care about that, but just the reality. And, I'm staying away from him for this game. In Dallas, I'm starting everybody. Just start them all. Not Cedric Wilson. I know he had a huge game last week, and that's all good and well. And, you want to keep an eye on that. But I'm starting all the other guys. That's Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, all three wide receivers, Cooper, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. And, yeah, I'm starting Dalton Schultz on the outside. I'm actually starting Dalton Schultz over Hayden Hurst in one of my leagues. If you heard the Nailed It or Failed It episode earlier in the week, you know that right now I don't know what to do with Hayden Hurst. I had him ranked very, very high in preseason, higher than even a lot of experts that were high on him. And it's been bad. He's got the 2 touchdowns, but it's been tough. So I'm playing Schultz over him. I like Schultz as a play this week. I like all these guys. I like, a lot of points and tons of attempts in this game. So we'll see if it works out that way. All right. Where do we want to go from here? Let's go to Detroit. The New Orleans Saints are going to travel to Detroit and take on the Lions. And it's tough here with who you want to play. We don't know, again, with Michael Thomas if he's going to be in there. I think he's going to try to play in this game. The Saints are 1-2, and even though they probably can handle the Lions without Michael Thomas, they need a win here. I mean, they can't fall further behind in the NFC and in the NFC South particularly, even though, thankfully, Atlanta's been bad. So the division hasn't been as good as maybe it looked like, but still, the Saints need a win here for sure. If Michael Thomas is back, yeah, I think you go ahead and you play Drew Brees in this game. I think he knows he needs a strong performance. Not that he's going to be throwing the ball all over the place, but got to jumpstart this offense a little bit. And I think if Michael Thomas is there, I'd be willing to play Drew Brees. And if Michael Thomas is not playing, then I'm going to go away from Drew Brees. It's just that simple for me. Thomas is in, I'll play Drew Brees. Thomas is out, I don't want to play Drew Brees. Done and done. Alvin Kamara, obviously, in your lineup. Latavius Murray, I'm leaving out. I do think he'll have more carries this week than he had in the last week. He'll be a little bit more involved. But, I still don't think that it's going to be, translate to playability unless you're desperate. So leave him off. And then, let's say, if Michael Thomas is playing, yeah, you got to have him in your lineup. Why not? You don't have high expectations because maybe they'll ease him in. But if he's in the game, it's hard to imagine him not being in your lineup, and expecting wide receiver 2 numbers somewhere in there. If he's playing, then I definitely, am not playing any of the other guys, right? Whether it's Emmanuel Sanders or Pt1 Smith, any of those guys. We know Jared Cook is injured. He's questionable. That's a problem. So let's just try to figure it out here. If Michael Thomas is out, then, it comes between Emmanuel Sanders and Pt1 Smith. Who's going to have the game this week? I just wouldn't do it. I'd stay away from that. And even though, we know it's a Drew Brees offense, if someone's going to get some points, I don't know that I'd be willing to say that it's not going to be another game that Kamara gets a monstrous workload of targets because Thomas is out. And that still limits everybody else. So, if Thomas is in, I'm playing him and no other wide receivers. If Thomas is out, I'm probably not playing any of the wide receivers. If you made me pick one, it would be Emmanuel Sanders between the two, especially in like PPR leagues, but I prefer not to. And then Jared Cook, I'm not playing him either way because of the injury, the possibility that he's going to be injured and knocked out of the game. I just don't want to deal with that. If Jared Cook is not going to play, yeah, I think Adam Troutman is a sneaky play here. I mean, if you don't know Adam Troutman, he was a rookie tight end drafted this year and got on the field a little bit last week. And, again, I'm not saying I'm expecting him to be some huge upside play. I'm just saying if Jared Cook is out and you're thinking about, like a Logan Thomas or a Drew Sample or somebody like that, I think you could very well look at Adam Troutman. So, just remember, maybe you heard it here first. Maybe you didn't, but maybe you did. All right, in Detroit, this one's tough because it's a decent over-under, 54.5, and they are at home. Stafford is like right on the line for me this week. If there's better options, if for some reason you have 2 quarterbacks rostered and you have a better option, I might play it. But you definitely can play Matt Stafford. You saw that he looked better. You got Galladay back. It looked better. So, for me, Stafford's a coin toss. It's really up to you. I'll let you make that call. Still not playing any of the running backs. I'm very, very disappointed that DeAndre Swift cannot get further involved into this offense, especially in the passing game. I brought it up recently. I remember a time when Theo Riddick, would catch 70-plus balls in this offense. And, I can see Swift being much, much better than Riddick with even 50, receptions. And it's not going to happen right now. Matt Patricia is, just terrible in my opinion. And, so I'm not playing Adrian Peterson unless I'm desperate. We all know what's going to happen. He's going to probably have 80, yards, and he might get into the end zone, and that could help you. But if he doesn't get in the end zone, then you're in for 10 or less points, and that's pretty much it. Definitely start Galladay. He looked good, being back in there. You want to have him in your lineup, absolutely. He's a stud. Get him in. Marvin Jones is, another guy that's a coin toss, and that's the thing with these Lions. This week I would bet on Marvin Jones to score a touchdown. That's just gut instinct, just the way I feel. That's just the way I feel. I don't even know if that's a song. There's like 2 different songs in my head. I was like kind of singing. I don't know. But yeah, I think Marvin Jones gets in the end zone this week, so I'd probably play him. And yeah, I have T.J. Hockenson in my lineup. He's on that cusp, tight end 1, so I'm not going to play him over, Mark Andrews just because he had a bad week last week or something like that. But, yeah, T.J. Hockenson I think will wind up right around the back end of that tight end 1 at the end of the week. So should be started. He has every chance to get to the end zone. No problem here. So yeah. That's that one. All right. Where are we going? All right. Let's go to Miami. And we're going to go the Seattle Seahawks, 3-0 Seahawks. Traveling to Miami. The over-under is 53.5 with Seattle giving 6.5. So, not giving the Dolphins that much of a chance in this game, even at home. And I understand that. Russell Wilson is absolutely crushing everybody. Everybody that's put in his way, he's crushing. And I expect him to crush again this week. So, you're playing Russ. That's a silly question. You're playing Russ. We're going to move on from that. Now, in the backfield, Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, both limited in practice. Both questionable for this game. Both out of my lineup. And here's why. Because I really honestly think Russell Wilson's probably the only quarterback that you could have 0 rushing attempts in an entire game and still win. He's just that good. He's that good at finding the open receivers. He's that good at making plays. He's just that guy. And I think that's what they're going to do here. I think you're going to get work from Travis Homer, and that's fine. And then whichever one of these running backs winds up playing will get some work also. I think this is going to be a sick Russ Wilson game with a good amount of Travis Homer. I think they can beat the Dolphins without Chris Carson, and I think they're not going to, endanger him, honestly. And then Hyde, if he plays, I don't want to play him just because, again, like I said, I think they're going to let Russ throw a lot. They don't need to run the ball that much, and they don't need to be that effective with it, I don't think, to win this game. So I'm staying away from the backfield, and then obviously playing both receivers. You know that. You're playing Lockett and Metcalf. That's no-brainers. Not playing anybody else. I mean, David Moore is a decent upside coin toss that you could throw in your flex or wide receiver 3 if you needed to, but I don't have him ranked there. And then Greg Olsen, again, he's outside my tight end 1, so I'm not recommending to start him, but there are worse options. I'd probably start Greg Olsen over Jimmy Graham, and I already said I'd start Jimmy Graham over Rob Gronkowski, so there you go. Put those 3 together. I'd start Greg Olsen over both those guys this week probably. And for the Dolphins, I want to get some Dolphins in my lineup. They're probably going to be down, and they might be down quick. And I think they're going to be throwing the ball around a lot. So, yeah, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is right near the top of that streaming group this week. So I like him as a streamer this week. Myles Gaskin. Yeah, the targets. I mean, the amount of targets he's getting out of the backfield give him such a good floor right now that you want to have him in your lineup. And then, yeah, Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, and Mike Gesicki. Those 3 guys, get them in your lineup. Take advantage of a game where they're probably going to be down and throwing the ball all over the place. I'll be shocked if there's not 45 pass attempts for Ryan Fitzpatrick in this game, if not more. So look at it that way, and get your Dolphins out there, man. Let's make it easy. Get your Seahawks and your Dolphins out there. Okay, this game is a little bit uglier here. The Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, and you got a low over-under here, 43.5 points. You got 2 strong defenses. The Buccaneers are going to be getting after Justin Herbert, that's for sure. And, Tom Brady's missing a lot of his weapons. It's an infirmary over there in the wide receiver room for Tampa Bay. So let's break it down here. I'm staying away from Justin Herbert. He's looked really, really fantastic for a rookie coming in and playing, especially not knowing he was going to play. Can't say that enough. He's looked great. Very impressed. I'm still benching him this week. Austin Eckler, absolutely playing. He was a smash last week, and they're starting to realize, hey, this offense needs to go through Austin Eckler. Josh Kelly still needs to be rostered, does not need to be started. You saw the giant disparity in work last week after he got all those carries the week before. Might be more game script involved, and, for this week, staying away from Kelly, but don't drop him just yet. And then on the outside, we saw the balance, like I said, it shifted there. And it looked like Mike Williams would be a bigger target with Tyrod Taylor as the quarterback, and now it's gone back to Keenan Allen running, Herbert throwing those more traditional, routes. And Allen had 19 targets last week. 19. That's 2 weeks worth of targets right there. So you're definitely playing Keenan Allen. Want to get him in there. I'm not playing Mike Williams at all, and definitely playing Hunter Henry. They look to be involved. So on the Chargers side of the ball, I want to have Eckler in, I want to have Allen, and I want to have Hunter Henry in my lineups. Everyone else, I'm pretty much staying away from. And on the Bucs side, I'm also staying away from a lot of the Bucs here today. I'm going to stay away from Tom Brady. I just think that, missing all these weapons, it's going to be tough go for him. The Chargers have a good secondary, and now you're missing the weapons. I just think they're going to try to play ball control game, a slow game, and I do see this game being like a 21-17, kind of a game. So I'm not going to be playing a lot of people in this game. Leonard Fournette is on the injury report here. He's got an ankle injury. He's not going to practice on Thursday, and I'm going to assume that he's not going to play on Sunday. And if that's the case, yeah, I want to play Ronald Jones. He's one of the only people I want to play in this game. And again, I think you can play him even if they say Fournette's fine, right? Like, Ronald Jones seemed to get most of the work last week and seemed to be back in that number one, kind of role. So I'm okay with that also. But if Fournette's out, I think you definitely want to have Ronald Jones in your lineup. And then on the outside here, so we know, Chris Godwin is injured. He's most likely going to be missing this game. We don't think he's going to be playing. Justin Watson, a little bit further down the depth chart, looking at guys that can step up. Justin Watson is probably not going to be playing in this game, I don't think. And Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is also nursing a hip and groin injury. Didn't practice on Thursday. Whether or not he's back in, the question is how limited will he be and how much can he help Mike Evans? So Mike Evans is a brutal question for me. Thankfully, I'm glad I don't have any Mike Evans shares because it would be really hard for me to make this decision this week because everyone else is out. So it's like, all right, well, if he's like the only game in town, maybe you want to play Mike Evans because who else are you going to throw to? That also means who else is the defense going to focus on. So if they're going to be just blanketing Mike Evans out there all day long, then it might not be a good idea to have him in your lineup, but it's hard to sit him. So I get it. And this is going to be one of the very few weeks you're probably going to see me recommend to play Rob Gronkowski, and it's also because of the injuries. If we see Godwin is out, Scotty Miller is out, and they're just struggling to get bodies in there, then yeah, you're going to see a decent workload for Gronk. He still didn't look great last week. I know he caught 6 or 7 balls, but it's not like he looked like, vintage Gronk or anything, at least not that I saw. So, but if those guys are out, yeah, I think you might want to get Gronk in there. So, let it roll. All right, last game we're going to go through for this episode today, and then we'll get through the back half here in a short while. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Washington football team, traveling to Washington and trying to come back after that very tough effort against Kansas City after getting kind of whooped on Monday night. So short week here, and I think you got to get Lamar Jackson in. I'm playing in a league where the guy I'm playing against, I don't know why, has Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I guess it's never a bad idea to have two great quarterbacks, but then you're making this decision every week. Why you got to be deciding if you're playing Lamar Jackson? And right now, he's moved Josh Allen into his starting lineup, and I don't know how to feel about that because obviously Allen is crushing it too. But I do think Lamar Jackson is going to come out and try to prove a point this week that that was an off game, and I'm still the man here. All right, so I think Lamar Jackson's in for a big game. I'm still not playing any Ravens running backs. I've been telling you this for 3 weeks now, and I don't trust playing any of them because the split is too even. We don't know what's going to happen week to week, and if they go up big, you cannot see any Mark Ingram in the second half, or anything can happen here in his backfield. I just want to stay away from him. And on the outside here, yes, I want to play Marquise Hollywood Brown, and I want to play Mark Andrews. Again, I'm just assuming this is going to be a big bounce back week for Lamar. I think he's going to want to prove he can do it with his arm, under 100 yards passing on Monday Night Football. I think he's going to want to prove that he can throw the ball into the end zone a couple of times. And I think he's going to take a few big shots to Marquise Hollywood Brown down in the field and connect on 1 or 2 of them. So, I want to play Lamar, I want to play Marquise, and I want to play Mark Andrews, who also was a little bit disappointing last week. Now, going over to Washington, this one's brutal because, you hate to, there's going to be some yards and some points. The only person I would really be thinking about playing here is Terry McLaurin, and frankly, He's got a thigh injury. He was limited in practice, and that makes me want to stay away from him also. This could be the kind of game, this could be a shutout. It really could be. It could be 24-0 in this game. And I just want to stay away from Washington football teamers in this game and not really have a lot of faith in those guys. So, that's how I'm looking at it there. I don't know. I don't want to play Redskins. There's a lot of other good games with big lines. This line's 45.5. And there's just other people you can play. So, if you're a McLaurin owner, I get it. You might want to play Terry McLaurin. Just is what it is. All right. So, listen, that's where we're going to cut it off. I think that leaves us with 7 more games to go over, maybe. If my math is right, we only have 14 on the slate. Yeah, because we went over the Thursday night, and then we have the two teams on a bye, again, as we said. So, that is going to do it for us today. All right. That does it. So, folks, if you want to shoot a message on Twitter, remember I can always help with your start-sit questions. You can hit me up anywhere, whether it's our Facebook page or on Twitter. It's at Jim Neander or at GoatFF Podcast. Send me your start-sit questions. I'm glad to help. I'm always out early on Sunday trying to find places where I can get my name out there a little bit and just try to help out with some starts and sits, and either turn myself into a instant villain or someone's favorite by giving them a win or a W in their game that week. So, all right, that's going to do it for the GOAT today. We got another episode coming for you before the weekend. Finish up with our preview and let you get going for your Sunday. So make sure you got your lineup set. Make sure you got a lot of warm bodies on your bench, some people that you can play. Keep up with the injuries. It's brutal right now, but, stay the course. Keep listening to the GOAT, and we'll get you there. All right, trust the process. Have a good one.